So, Husqvarna's Svartpilen 401 is leveling up in 2024 with a pretty big set of updates, begging the question, should you be grabbing a deal on the outgoing model, arguably one of the best value beginner bikes around, or waiting for the shiny new 2024 with all the improvements. Also receiving basically the same updates will be the Vitpilen or the more café racer inspired 401 offering, although at a glance it's obvious something big has changed here. It's still running the alloy wheels and road tyres, but the clip-on style bars are gone and it appears to be running the same handlebar setup as the Svartpilen now. We can only guess, but it's clear the more aggressive ergos were not a winner overall, with Husqvarna making the Vitpilen a little more relaxed. Now, if you're more keen on the aggressive, sporty handlebars, it probably is time to run out and grab the outgoing Vitpilen model, as you're not going to get that in 2024. Looking more broadly at the styling updates, we see revised tanks with more streamlined lines and not run as far down the tail. From a servicing perspective, that's probably a good thing. The underbelly exhaust seem to be new industry norm, and while pretty integrated into the bike, is fairly ugly compared to the outgoing traditional exhaust. It should save weight, but this seems to be an area many bikes are going backwards in the styling department. The swing arm mounted fender is gone as well and moved to the tail with nicer radiator covers. Definitely more premium looking overall, I'd say. Now, going past the looks, the biggest ticket item is of course the new 399cc single cylinder pumping out 45 horsepower. Despite the 401 model name, the Svartpilen has always run the KTM 390 single cylinder, which was itself a 373cc engine. That makes the 401 model name closer than ever, and even KTM won't try calling a 399cc a 490. On the performance front, there's a somewhat underwhelming 2 horsepower or 1 kilowatt gain, keeping in mind ever tightening Euro 5 Plus emissions restrictions are probably partially to blame there. The gearbox is revised though, and hopefully that makes neutral easier to find, with the easy shift system also seeming to be standard fitment now. Essentially a basic quick shifter, although I'd argue not quite as nice as a real quick shifter. And I'm not sure if that's still just upshifts or both now. I would be interested in the torque figure, as that's where we should see some improvements, but it is sadly lacking both in the release and on the website. Of course, engine improvements probably aren't strictly necessary. If I could have one wish with my 2021 Svartpilen 401, it would be the engine being a bit smoother and running at lower revs at highway speeds, as that's where I feel it suffers in comparison to the twin competition. Having a scratch through the twisties at the same revs though, and you'd probably never notice that, so it may be an unfair complaint. These really aren't tourers after all. Where we do see some quality of life changes linked to the engine is a massively expanded electronics package, starting with a nice TFT dash that replaces the fairly awful old dash. Now, I know I said it was okay previously in my review, but it's a feature that I liked less and less the longer I owned the bike. The dash mounting does look cleaner on the Vitpilen too, where it's more incorporated with the headlight with a mini screen on the Svartpilen. One problem solved right there for 2024. We also see an IMU and cornering traction control and cornering ABS in a move that will boost safety and no doubt be appreciated by many riders. Now sure, some people will whine and moan about the features, but they are clearly in demand, particularly in Europe where they'll put traction control on anything. Their bicycles probably have it too. There's even ride modes which seem like overkill on a bike with 45 horsepower, but if you're running ride-by-wire, which you are for traction control, you may as well add ride modes too and stay ahead of the one-upmanship game. After all, Husqvarna and KTM do have a habit of making other manufacturers' offerings look a little basic or outdated when they roll out their updates. On the chassis front, a few things seem to be relatively unchanged, like we're still seeing those 43mm WP forks and a WP shock, which has been moved to be offset and actually looks a bit beefier. The clickers visible on the forks does mean it's still the adjustable units we expect, and inarguably the segment leader for the level of adjustment on offer. 150 mils of travel is also generous front and rear, and Husqvarna have managed to drop the seat height to 820mm from 835. Now that's not huge, but it is a move in the right direction and will make the bikes more manageable for shorter riders. What has changed though is the frame, which is updated to take the new engine and a new aluminium swing arm. Husqvarna promised improved cornering behaviour while retaining their renowned stability. It's important to keep in mind though that the 401 is a wickedly fast and aggressive turner, and while you probably won't notice it after a while as an owner, if you're swapping bikes, you certainly will feel it and it'll be a standout. To put some numbers to these updates, the steering head angle is up from 65 degrees to 66 degrees, and the wheelbase increases to... never mind. The KTM Group's ongoing tactic of never providing a proper specification sheet strikes again. Anywho, the brakes remain Biber with a 4-pot front caliper, which is again a class leader, and to differentiate the Svartpilen and the Vitpilen, you'll see the spoked wheels with Pirelli Scorpion Rally STR tyres fitted to the Svart. Meanwhile, the Vit gets the 17-inch cast aluminium 6-spoke aero rims clad in Michelin Power 6 tyres. As far as other quality of life changes, we do see a futuristic switch block setup on the new bars, which is busier but will be needed with all the new modes, and the old switch blocks are a little bit cheap and plasticky if I'm honest, even if they do a good job. That TFT display is a 5-inch too, and the tank size is now 13 litres across both models, which is very nice compared to the old 9.5 litres on my 2021 model. The Vitpilen also weighs in at 154.5 kilos, while the Svartpilen with the knobbier tyres and spoked rims bumps that up to 159.5 kilos, to which you add about 10 kilos for fuel, which is still a nice and competitive figure at around 170 kilos on the road. Ground clearance is 180 mils on both models, and it does look like Husqvarna have streamlined down both the bikes to keep them as similar as possible. I did also see the mention of a new premium paint and overcoated decals, which will definitely be a nice point of improvement too. So as a current gen Svartpilen 401 owner, what are my thoughts on the updates? Overall, my big takeaway is how is price going to be affected, which to be fair is what I think about every update. The Svartpilen 401 was a winner to me because it was already a bit cheaper than the vast majority of the competition and offered the best specification loadout overall. Then buying a runout model, I paid about 25 to 30% less than anything even slightly comparable, which was honestly an unbeatable deal. So hopefully the Svartpilen and the Vitpilen in fact retain the best value crown when we see the new pricing. My biggest criticism of the current 401 though is the build quality, which is low in some areas, particularly when we're talking the plastics and the quality of some of the bolts in use in the non-structural areas, from my time tinkering on the bike at least. Now the 401 is built to a price, so there is always going to be some compromises to be made somewhere, but hopefully the newer 401s improve on those areas. Will I be running out to upgrade my 2021 for a 2024? Nope, I've got my eye on a bigger bike now, but it seems like the Svartpilen 401 may retain the best beginner bike crown for some time yet, if that pricing remains as competitive as it has been in recent years. And based on information out of the UK, it looks like all these updates will only set you back an extra £100, with both the Svartpilen 401 and the Vitpilen 401 priced at £5,599, so if we see that mirrored everywhere, it'll be impressive indeed. After all, there's not much at the previous price point, with properly adjustable USD forks and shock, 4-pot caliper, unique styling, strong performance, especially from a fast revving and usable single, LED lights all around, and of course the option for spoked wheels and dual purpose tyres, if you want to get adventurous without needing to buy an actual adventure bike. And of course, as riders we probably don't need all of that, but when you're spending your hard-earned, you do want the best bang for buck possible. So let's keep our fingers crossed on pricing. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the new models in the comments, and if you're still here, consider leaving me a like and subbing to the channel.